Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave. We're doing all this King Crimson. We're getting there. We're getting through all these endless 71-72 tour albums. But I tell you what, although last week we had an interesting curiosity, this week we have a gem. And this is exactly what the Collectors Club is for, because in a way this should have been released instead of Earthbound, and I think Ian Wallace actually said that. Awesome album, lots of fun. It's a radio recording, so the sound is, unlike all this horrible distorted stuff for their own recordings, the sound is fantastic. And not only that, it's a short show and they carried on playing after the radio had finished. This is a jamming band, not an improvisation band. I've already talked about that. Is that something to do with the bass, maybe? In that how Boz feels about what bass should be doing grounds it, and so it has to be a jam. It can't be crazy weird stuff. And it was around this time, you know, that the band went back to Fripp and said, actually, can we carry on? Because they're having so much fun at this point. But Fripp said, well, he's already found Bill, and in fact he probably knew it wouldn't work long term. Although they were having fun, it wasn't enough. It wouldn't last, you know. It was time to move on. And the question is this King Crimson? By this point they're substantially different to, you know, go all the way back to Plymouth, which was a new King Crimson band. They're doing their own thing now. You know, I suppose the answer is, it is now, because it's there, it says King Crimson on it, and they did it, but it's different King Crimson. They're doing a different thing, and it is Americanised. And that's not a bad thing, it's just a different thing. I love this album. It will never be, you know, like the Night Watch album, or The Great Deceiver or something, or Red. But it doesn't mean it's not brilliant, and it is different. So, you know, it's not, in a way, it's not even comparable. But yeah, as they were touring with Alexis Cornet, the band, minus Fripp, joined Alexis Cornet, maybe to finish off his tour, or I don't know, and then formed a band called Snape, who are great, but definitely not King Crimson. So yeah, like I said, hindsight says this should have been a live album. It's wonderful. It may have been even more controversial though, because it is less like King Crimson. It's got all sorts of stuff on there, but it is great. So yeah, the actual set that obviously they wanted for radio transmission is 4 tracks. The first song is Pictures of a City, but the sound is so great, and this is the peak of the band in a way, and so in a way that's got to be the best version, although it's not. Maybe not the performance on Jacksonville. Maybe they're more relaxed and they're a bit, or maybe they're more subdued because they're being recorded and they're on the radio. But it means you can hear it clearly, and that makes all the difference. The guy introducing it it's quite funny. It's obviously from a different time. It's not like a radio DJ. It's like this really relaxed man with this new band, King Crimson. I'll have to thank them. You know, I mean, on the radio in those days, the quality of people's radios, they wouldn't even be able to see what he was saying. This is their own version of Pictures of a City, as I've said before, so wonderful. Track 2, Cadence and Cascade. Again, always good to have Cadence and Cascade. It's a lovely song. I've always liked Boz's take on it. I think because of the sound quality, that's probably the best one. Do I hear sarcasm in Boz's voice? Possibly, but it doesn't mean it's bad. I think it's really good. I think his voice suits the song, regardless of whether he likes it or not. Groon, track 3. Very short Groon. It's alright. So 21st Century Schizoid Man. Maybe not as energetic as some of the other performances. The sound quality, the distortion obviously makes it sound more intense. So here we don't have that. But I think perhaps because they're being recorded, they're not quite as wild as elsewhere, but still, it's their own version of this song and it's brilliant. So, in a way that's the end of the set, and then you have we go into a jam with track 5, Summit Going On, it got called. It's an Earthbound type thing. With scatting, it's kind of a thing to play out on. I imagine they thought that was the end of the show, and the radio people could cut and extend that as much as they liked. So now they're finished. They finished the show, which means they can start. They can play now. They can play what they like. It's a pretty basic jam, but you know, why not? It's cool. Like Peoria. It sort of comes to a halt with some fantastic sax. So they've stopped playing, but then Mel Collins just carries on. And with some bit of guitar noodling, and then Ian Wallace has an announcement. He said, "Right, let's have a party." And the announcer says, "Thanks to King Crimson, goodbye." And Ian Wallace says, "Okay, we'll have a bit of a play if you like." Fripp announces the King Crimson experiment as British humour work to American audience. And this is my hobby, which is actually a Mr. Gumby impression. And I can see a lot of people not finding that funny at all, but it makes me laugh. It does make me laugh. Partly because the microphone's distorting, he's going, "My hobby." It's a Mr. Gumby impression. Then they just very relaxedly just go into the Sailor's Tale, as you do. And there you got a relaxed version of the Sailor's Tale. And then the creator has a master plan, which starts off as another jam, but Boz starts singing this song by Pharaoh Sanders, including Summit and Something Else. This should have been Ladies of the Road, I think, but I'll talk about that another time, obviously. And the question is it King Crimson? Does that matter at this stage? This is a real curiosity, a fantastic find, secret album of awesomeness. It's just so much fun. Sadly, there's a bit of cutting in this last track, but there is a bit of Locks Tongues in there, so obviously that's what he's thinking about. Just so much fun. It gets the humour in there, and it gets the feel of what this particular band will like. So it is just great. It is if you want a career of something different, you know King Crimson, but you want something different. That's a real great one to get. Definitely recommended. See you next week for Denver 72.